All right, this morning I woke up and chose breakfast. So today let's make an egg sandwich, something kind of similar to an Egg McMuffin. I really like this recipe because it's very simple. You don't need very many pans, you don't need very many ingredients. You can just put this into the oven and 30 minutes later you'll have a really delicious breakfast sandwich. Also, you may have noticed that I have joined the wearing an apron behind the table gang, so now I am a cheap sellout. All right, let's make a breakfast sandwich. Okay, as I said, the beauty of this recipe is in its simplicity. We won't need much for this recipe. We only need a bowl, a ramekin, a tray, and a little rack like this. Now in the egg sandwich, we won't get very far without the egg, so let's start with that. Now for the egg portion of the sandwich, I'm gonna be going for that split colored egg puck that you find in an Egg McMuffin. I think the style of egg works really well in a sandwich like this with the English muffin, and the other real benefit is that it's very simple to make this type of egg as opposed to making a poached egg or something like that. So the first thing that we need to do in order to make this is to lubricate a ramekin. Now, you can use cooking spray like this, but if you don't have any, I want to show you another way of just using cooking oil and kind of a paper towel. So just open the top of a bottle of vegetable oil and then just kind of use a paper towel to kind of just soak up some of that oil, and then just really try to wipe it in there and make sure that you get all of the edges of the ramekin. Really just ensuring that every piece of it is coated. Otherwise, we might have trouble with the egg sticking to the ramekin a little bit later. Now, once we've thoroughly greased our ramekin, it's time to actually add the eggs. Now, if you wanted to, you could just crack 2 eggs in a bowl, give it a good mix, and then pour it into the ramekin. But if you want to go for peak unnecessary, like I often do, you can separate the egg whites and yolks. So for this egg puck, I'm gonna recommend using 2 eggs. I have previously tried it with 3, and that turned out to be way too much. So I separated the whites into the ramekin and placed the yolks into the bowl. Once we've separated the whites from the yolks, use your fork to mix up the whites, making sure to break up any mucousy bits. Next, do the same with the egg yolks, ensuring that we got a nice, smooth, yolky yolk liquid. Now, to get a pattern like they do at McDonald's, all you do is just very carefully pour the egg yolks into the ramekin in a smooth stream. And as long as you don't jostle it around too much, it should stay kind of separated like this. Now we can go ahead and grab the tray and place the rack over it, carefully placing the ramekin on top of the rack. Next, we need a slice of bacon. And if you can swing it, I would opt for the thick cut bacon here. It really adds a lot of texture and gives you a little bit more to each bite. You could also opt for the Canadian style bacon, which is a little bit closer to the traditional Egg McMuffin, but I actually kind of like the slices of bacon in each bite. Okay, so now that we have the bacon on the tray, let's just place this whole thing into a preheated oven of 350 degrees Fahrenheit or about 176 degrees Celsius. And we're gonna let this cook for about 25 to 30 minutes. And we really don't have to do anything during this time. Now, baking bacon is really one of those underrated, super amazing food tricks. Now, the bacon that you end up with, I think ends up a little bit more intact and less crumpled. And I really love the texture that it gives. And also, honestly, it's dead simple. And there really isn't a reason you couldn't bake a whole tray of bacon for breakfast this way. All right, now while that bakes, let's make a controversial and non-traditional ingredient, which is a sauce. Now, when I lived in Germany, they had a version of the Egg McMuffin over there that had a mustard mayonnaise sauce. So that's what I'm gonna go for in today's sandwich. All we need to do to make this is honestly just mix a little bit of mayonnaise and just add a little bit of mustard and just give it a good mix together. Now I'm gonna be using Dijon mustard, but you don't have to, you could use yellow mustard. It'll be completely fine. Once this is thoroughly mixed, let's just set this off to the side, preferably somewhere cool so it doesn't get all oily. So after about 25 minutes in the oven, I would start checking on your eggs and bacon. Just make sure that the bacon is cooked all the way and that your eggs are firm in the middle. You know, just give it a little bit of a shake and see if it wiggles. Now, if it is done, go ahead and take it out, and we're just gonna set this off to the side. Now I'm gonna quickly toast some English muffins here in this toaster oven. However, if you want things to go a little bit smoother, you could have had these already toasted. Now, I believe McDonald's toast theirs with butter on a griddle, but I didn't really want to dirty a pan for this, so I'm just gonna do it this way. Now, once the English muffins are toasted, I'm just gonna pull the top out and add a slice of cheese to the bottom and just let the residual heat of the oven just melt the cheese ever so slightly, just to get that nice shape. Now, once it does melt ever so slightly, it's time to assemble this thing. So first, let's put some sauce on the top of the English muffin and just kind of really get a nice layer on here. Now, I know that the original McDonald's Egg McMuffin has butter, but I think that with this mayonnaise in here, we really got our fattiness covered. All right, next we need to chop the bacon into pieces approximately the width of an English muffin. Now place these layered pieces of bacon onto the cheese. Next we can go in with a butter knife and kind of loosen up and pry out the egg puck. Once you're sure it's completely detached, we can use the sauced muffin top to kind of catch the egg puck. Now, you could stop here and everybody would be delighted. However, I'm gonna add one more controversial / optional ingredient, which is some tomato. Now, in Germany, there was a version of the Egg McMuffin, which was called TS, which stood for tomato and salat, or lettuce in English. Now, I don't like lettuce on mine, but I do think the tomato is a real winner, so maybe give that a try. All right, so I'm gonna press this together, and what a beast. So let's take some contractually obligated photos, and that's it. So now the real question is, how does it taste? It's time to actually taste this. So we'll see if it's any good. It looks really good. It doesn't hurt that I haven't had breakfast yet, and it always takes a lot longer to film and cook, but so I was pretty hungry. Oh, this is really good. I think if you've never had a sandwich like this with tomato, give it a shot. I'm not even such a huge fan of tomato, but it really cut through all of the like greasiness. Also, the mustard, that's a really good addition. I highly recommend making this. It's super simple. You guys saw this. It wasn't too bad. It looks cool too, and you can impress a bunch of people by making a bunch of these. I'm gonna keep eating this. I think the benefit of baking the bacon instead of griddle cooking it, you really get a much more kind of like, I don't know, it feels like much more like what you get at a restaurant and less like that shriveled piece of crap you sometimes get at McDonald's or wherever you go to get your bacon. I highly recommend making this. You can also obviously switch out the bacon for sausage or plant-based options. Turkey bacon also would work. You know, this was just, decided to go all out on this one. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider subscribing. I'm gonna be doing a lot more breakfast videos because why not? All right, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.